down there, right over here high.
Go Mustangs! Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Hilltop. What a great day for SMU. I'm Brad Cheeves. I'm privileged to serve as Senior Vice President for Development and External Affairs. And before we get started, I'd like to introduce our platform party. If you would hold your applause till all have been introduced. To my left, President of SMU, R. Gerald Turner. To his left, SMU President-elect Jay Hartzell. To my far right, this is Vice Chair of the Board of Trustees, Rich Templeton. To his left is David Miller, Chair of the Board of Trustees. They happen to also co-chair the search for the Athletics Director. And the person we are here to welcome today, Damon Evans. Let's welcome our platform party. We are also welcomed today by members of SMU's governing board, the Board of Trustees, and in addition to those who are joining us on stage, some are in the audience, and I'd ask that they raise their hand or stand and remain standing, and then if you'd hold your applause till all have been introduced. Here or on his way, Bill Armstrong, member of the Athletic Director Search Committee. Richie Butler, a member of the Athletic Director Search Committee, also serves as chair of the Trustee Athletics Committee. Please stand. Jude Lugo, our student representative, student trustee. Kyle Miller, a member of the Athletics Director Search Committee. James Mobley. Also coming, I think, was Gene Phillips, a member of the Athletics Director Search Committee. David Sedman, faculty representative. Brian Tyler, and Gary Weber. Gary, wave for us. Gary Weber, let's welcome our trustees and our benefactor. So you've just met several members of the Athletics Director Search Committee, other trustees, all the trustees that were involved in that, but also involved was Faculty Athletics Representative Paul Rogers. Paul, if you're here, if you'll wave, let's Paul stand, longtime Faculty Athletics Director Representative. We thank you all for all your work on this, and we are so honored to have to welcome to SMU and to the Mustang family, the whole Evans family, but we're really happy. Carrie Evans is here with us today. Carrie, would you stand and let us say thank you? We have representatives of our head coaches, assistant coaches, athletic staff, and some of our student athletes here. We want to say thank you to you. Will you raise your hand or be standing so that we can say thank you to all of our coaches, athletics? Please stand and let's say thank you. And now it's my privilege to bring to the microphone the president of SMU, Dr. R. Gerald Turner.
Thanks, Brad. And thank all of you for being here. It's obviously been an exciting year for SMU athletics and for the whole university. In our first season in the ACC, our teams handled all that pressure very well. Our football team reached the college football playoff undefeated in the regular season, and played while the volleyball team and men's soccer earned top 10 rankings, and men's basketball finished tied for fourth in the regular season during our first ACC season and then played in the NIT. The equestrian team is still ranked number one, defending national champion for 2 years, and many of the spring seasons are underway in other sports. So there's a great deal of energy and excitement from our fans, and SMU's had record fundraising to provide the kind of support we've needed for this kind of achievement. We're grateful to all of you for your support of SMU athletics, our First Week Society, and those who continue to support the ACC Competitiveness Campaign, and those who support our excellent funds and our teams directly, and also those that are involved with the support of the university's athletic teams and the collective. Your continued support is crucial. As you know, this is a new era. Name, image, and likeness, the House settlement, which the hearing is next Monday week, the portal going on right now in basketball. It's simply a new era. And so we're delighted to have a new athletic director who's been involved at the highest level. And also, it's my honor to introduce our new president as of June the 1st, 11th president, Jay Hartzell.
Thanks, Dr. Turner. It's a pleasure to be here today, and I really want to say thanks to Dr. Turner and to our chair and vice chair of the board for letting me be part of this process. And the timing lined up really well, where I was able to be not only here today, but also part along the way, and it was really a privilege and an honor, and also honestly very exciting. Part of the message I just wanted to convey, in addition to saying thanks to Damon and Carrie for taking this leap with me in some ways as we come to the hilltop, is the importance of athletics in a university like this one, like our university. And part of that message, I think, sometimes gets diluted or lost, where people often want to think about there's the athletic side and the academic side. But part of our conversation with Damon, and part of my enthusiasm for him in this really important leadership role, is that he appreciates the fact that these things are actually very interconnected and interwoven. If you have any doubt, you could just compare this press conference to the new president press conference. And you would get a sense of, and I felt very well treated, but you get a sense of the excitement and enthusiasm of what athletics brings to a college campus. It opens up opportunities for student athletes, and our coaching staff makes those things possible for those student athletes. It brings people together. People talk about a front porch. I often call it a connective tissue. It's something that binds us together as a university. And it's also something that is going to have ripple effects throughout Dallas, throughout Texas, and throughout the country. And you can see it in our applications and the interest in SMU. And so, part of what got my excitement about coming here and being the 11th president was seeing this opportunity, and athletics is embodying that trajectory that this university is on. So I want to say thanks to the search committee for all their hard work in getting to today. Today is a celebratory day to be here. I want to say thanks in particular to our co-chairs who were introduced, Rich and David. And let me get out of the way and introduce the chair of the board, Mr. David Miller. Thank you.
Okay, I'll start by telling you we don't compare notes, so some what I'm going to say is a little bit redundant, but maybe I'll twist it a little bit differently. Thank you, Jay. And I want to start by telling you this day marks another huge step in cementing SMU's place in the upper echelon of college athletics. Some of you may recall the first word out of my mouth at the press conference today that we were invited to join the ACC, and I said, we're back where we belong. There are people that wear T-shirts that, have that statement. But after we got in and started to think, I'll use the word realistically, about how competitive we were going to be in that first year, I think it'd be fair to say that for most of us, the objective was to get to the end of the football season, the basketball season, and look like we belong, right? Again, this is the part that's kind of redundant, but obviously after we go to the CFP, we're undefeated in the regular season, the ACC in football, and we came within a hair, I'll tell you, without an injury, of being in the NCAA tournament basketball in our very first season. We end up in the top quarter of an incredible basketball league. So needless to say, we greatly exceeded those expectations. I also made the somewhat bold statement that day at the press conference that we just made the ACC stronger. And as I've so I've attended literally every away football game and all but I think one or two away basketball games. So we've gone to these ACC cities for all those games. And I've encountered no one that will debate that. I mean, I'm not going to name names, but they're excited about SMU. They're excited about Dallas, and not so sure about some of the others. I've been connected to this university for over 50 years, and I think you'll share this with me. I don't think we've experienced a more exciting time than right now. We've got tremendous momentum, both academically and athletically, and I think this university is absolutely poised to go to even higher levels on the national stage. As Gerald said, there is just a lot going on in college athletics. I'm in the House Settlement Agreement, NIL, which is about to become revenue sharing. And for those of you that aren't clear about this, revenue sharing kind of suggests that there's a pool of cash sitting over there that just needs to be distributed amongst the sports and the individual athletes. No. It's money that we're going to have to fundamentally raise. Boulevard has, under Kyle's and Chris Kleiner's guidance with Gene Phillips' support, has been incredibly successful up to this point in time. We wouldn't be where we are. I know the two coaches would tell you this. We would not be where we are competitively without a robust NIL program. And that has to be, we've got to sustain that. As we interviewed candidates for this job, and I want to share with you that there were not one but two handsful of sitting power conference athletic directors that were keenly interested in this position. We told the candidates that our overarching goal was, well, let me back up and say this to you. Out 5 or 6 years, probably in conjunction with a renegotiation of the media contracts by the power conferences, there's going to be another round of reshuffling, almost inevitably. So when we started and Damon, asked us, what are you looking for? Well, at the top of the list was to find someone that understood and would embrace our overarching goal, and that is, when that reshuffling takes place, to make sure that SMU is well positioned to stay at the very highest level of intercollegiate athletics. So that's a big. Anyway, and after completing that, what I would describe as an exhaustive national search, we unanimously decided that the person to help us accomplish that and to lead SMU athletics boldly going forward is Damon Evans. So as President-elect Hartzell said, I want to thank the search committee. I also want to thank a gentleman by the name of Chad Chatlos, who was our search consultant with Turnkeys ZRG, did a marvelous job. He helped us bring Andy Enfield to SMU, so thank him as well. My sidekick in this process, as was the case in the presidential search, was this gentleman to my right, Rich Templeton, and I'm going to ask him to come forward and formally introduce Damon. Thank you.
Well, it's been an absolute pleasure, David, working with you and helping Jay put together the team that's going to continue SMU's ascent. So just a little bit about Damon Evans, okay? So Damon grew up in Nebraska. I want everybody to think of the early 80s, okay? And this was a time with Coach Osborne, probably some names that some of you of our age might remember: Mike Rozier, Turner Gill, Irving Fryer, some pretty good linemen. Guys like Dave Remington, Dean Steinkühler. I suspect that 83 Orange Bowl loss to Miami, 31-30, that ended an undefeated season, remains a crushing blow to you, Damon. Now, Damon was quite sure that his career path said, I'm going to play for the Cornhuskers. But his parents informed him that they were moving to Georgia. So the Bulldogs it was. On he went, eventually athletic director of Georgia, athletic director at Maryland. And when we say he understands what it takes to compete at the highest levels, the resume speaks for itself. 13 national titles, 19 SEC titles while he was at Georgia, Maryland, 49 Big Ten championships and tournament titles. Now, a few weeks ago, after we had a chance to meet with Damon, I suspect it came as another surprise, maybe somewhat similar to that discussion he had with his parents about moving to Georgia. What we saw in Damon was a leader that understood what it took to compete at the highest levels in today's college landscape, had a clear view of the academic mission and how athletics supports it, and he had a very real passion about the importance of education for the outcome and long-term success of our student athletes. I believe what Damon saw was a university that had alignment from its board all the way through, had the resources, and had the sustainability that it was going to take. And he also made this mention, and we heard this from many of the interviews, he saw Dallas. He saw Dallas's energy, he saw Dallas's demographics, he saw a number 4 TV market, he saw passionate fans, and he saw tremendous athletic talent of North Texas. So for those of you that have joined and are signed up to Mustang Nation, thank you. For those who haven't, I suggest just signing up because Damon is going to talk you into it when you get a chance to meet him. So we are thrilled to welcome Damon, Carrie, and the family to Dallas. Please join me in welcoming to the podium SMU News Director of Athletics, Damon Evans.
Wow, wow, wow. First and foremost, thank you for that warm introduction. And just taking a look around this room, I can tell you that my wife, Carrie, and I are extremely excited to be here. And I want you to know that we really appreciate all of you coming out here today and showing your passion and your commitment for this great institution. So I'm going to ask you to bear with me today because there are quite a few people that I would like to thank and to acknowledge as we move forward with this program. First, I want to thank President Turner. It's interesting because when I was back in the SEC and I knew this opportunity might come to fruition, I remember President Turner at Ole Miss and Coach Evans being at Ole Miss. And I want to say this to President Turner, that I appreciate your confidence in me. I appreciate the leadership that you've shown this great institution over a number of years. Because if you notice, guys, presidents usually have about a 7-year cycle. I don't think they go 30 years, and it's just been remarkable what he's done, and I want to thank him for that. I also want to recognize President-elect Hartzell. What a great individual, a great human being. When I saw the news that he was coming to SMU, I said, wow, they're really going after someone special. I heard a lot about him, and when I had the opportunity to meet with him, it just further reiterated my desire to be at this institution, to partner with someone who understands that athletics and the academy can coexist and do marvelous things. Thanks for believing in me. I look forward to partnering with you and working with you to grow this institution. And then I got to meet this group of illustrious individuals, the search committee. And you know, sometimes when you're meeting the search committee, and I read about some of these guys, and I said, uh-oh, what's this going to be like? But what I saw, you guys, I saw passion, I saw commitment, I saw an ability and a drive to go get what they wanted and what they believed would be best for this institution as a whole. And so I want to acknowledge and thank David Miller and Rich Templeton and Bill Armstrong and Kyle Miller and Richie Butler and Gene Phillips and Paul Rogers, because they put their time, energy, and effort into this process. And without them, I would not be standing here today. So I thank you deeply, and I'm forever indebted to you. Thank you, guys. Now, this young lady has been introduced already, but when you have a spouse and a partner, and you don't want to get in any trouble, you better make sure that you make mention of her. Because when you make decisions like this, it's not just about me. It's about us as a unit. I've been with this beautiful young lady for over 30 years of my life, and I'm so excited that she was willing to say, we can go do this one. So I want to thank my wife, Carrie, and acknowledge her one more time. There's a gentleman who led this institution's athletic department for a number of years. We've been playing phone tag, and I finally caught him this morning. I've known Rick Hart for a long, long time. I consider him a dear friend and colleague, and I wish him nothing but the best as he moves forward. And as I told him on the phone this morning, I will lean into him so he can give me a little bit of the lay of the land, some things to look forward to, because in this world of intercollegiate athletics, us athletic directors, we form a fraternity and a bond, and I want to wish him and his family the best as they move forward with their future endeavors. And then it's interesting. There are two different people I want to make mention of, and one is this gentleman sitting here in the front row by the name of Dave Buey. I've never taken a job and I've never done anything without him. He was the executive director of the Alumni Association at the University of Georgia when I first took over as athletic director, and he retired. I said, would you come work with me? First response was no. But I'm a little bit persistent, and he decided to come work with me. Since that time, Dave has been a part of everything that I've done. He consulted with us at Maryland. He called me and said, I'm coming, and I wouldn't miss it today. Dave, thank you for being here. And I have my best friend from high school in the back of the room. He and his wife flew up. He and I almost got in a fight in the lunch line when I moved to Gainesville, Georgia. I didn't know anybody. He cut in front of the line. And I was like, hey, man, wait a minute. And then so we kind of said, he said, I like this guy. And I want to acknowledge my friend Tyrone Sims and his wife, Angie. Thank you for being here. So it is an honor and a privilege, guys, for my wife, Carrie, and me to be joining not just a world-class institution, but a world-class institution that is simply on the rise. We are so excited to be here on the hilltop. And I'll tell you this, opportunities like this don't come along that often. And this was one I simply could not pass up on. This is one I was willing to actually fight for because I believe it is that special. And this room exudes that today. But before I get into the whys of SMU, I would be remiss if I did not thank President Darrell Pines and the entire Maryland University and athletic communities for their tremendous support over a number of years. I am forever grateful to them, and I want to wish them nothing but success in the future and starting tonight in the Sweet 16 for the men and tomorrow night the Sweet 16 for the women. Now, let's get to it. I hope you guys feel how excited I am at this point in time. Some around the country may have been saying, why SMU? I don't think I need to convince anyone in this room why this is such a great place. But I do want to share with you the thoughts that my wife and I had that went into this decision. And if I'm going to be quite frank, it was a very, very, very easy decision. But I took a look at this holistic environment, and I saw that it had the key ingredients for a recipe not just for success, but for success in a fundamentally different level. And so just bear with me as I talk to some of these ingredients. First and foremost, leadership. Under the leadership of President Turner, I found that this university continued to grow. And then having had the opportunity to sit down with President-elect Hartzell and seeing his vision and how he said, like connected tissue, how athletics is a part of and not apart from the institution, knowing what he had accomplished at the University of Texas, I hate to say that name, but because we are the university in this state. And I'll say that's quite evident because he's coming here. But it's that leadership that I saw from him that made me so excited about this opportunity. Then the commitment. Gentlemen like these two sitting here, the Board of Trustees, the search committee, the commitment throughout this community was just something like I had not seen in quite some time. And when you have that commitment, the third ingredient is alignment. I felt like everybody was pushing and driving in the same direction. And that is so vitally important when you're trying to accomplish certain things. And then the values of the institution, won't go into them, but when I think of intellectual freedom, open dialogue, and you talk about excellence, integrity, DEI, those are all things that we need. But then you talk about the academic prestige of this great university is second to none. And then it was mentioned the Dallas market and this community, a top 4 market, a vibrant community, a recruiting hotbed, a place that wants to win big, and a place that's looking to support something special at SMU. And then finally, the opportunity. The opportunity is just magnificent. When I take a look around this room, and I tried to call every coach last night, we have a group of extraordinary coaches and staff that has allowed this university to get to where it is today. And when you take that combination, and it is very rare that all of those pieces come together, I think we have a chance to do something that few institutions in this country can do. You see, we are poised to do something extremely special. And what a perfect time it is with the new incoming president and president-elect Jay Hartzell and his passion and commitment and understanding of the power of intercollegiate athletics, a new athletic director, a board that has shown extraordinary commitment. This type of partnership and alignment rarely happens, you guys, but it is happening here right now at perhaps the most consequential time in the history of intercollegiate athletics. With the pending House settlement approval coming up, it will reshape our industry. What we have to do, embracing this new era of intercollegiate athletics, is significant if we want to compete at the highest level. This is our moment to strategically position SMU, this great institution, in this new dynamic landscape. Now, how are we going to do that? You know, one of the most important ingredients to what we need to do will be due in large part to our most important commodity, people. We will invest in people who are self-disciplined, express disciplined thought, and take disciplined action, coinciding with the university's mission, vision, and values. I look forward to getting to know all of you, and I hope that you look forward to getting to know me. See, our culture, strategy, and structure will play a fundamental role in helping to elevate SMU. And when I say SMU, that's our programs, our student athletes, our teams, this greater area. We have to, you guys, we have to fully engage our donor base. And we have to tap deep into the Dallas marketplace. We want people to see what we see is possible, and we want them to help us get there. I'll tell you this, we will be intentional in our approach. You have my commitment that we will lead boldly and take calculated risk and position this program for more success than we've ever seen. Now, I will say this. One of the most important parts of what we do is providing an incredible experience for our student athletes, academically, athletically, professionally, and personally. Our environment will be centered around student athlete success here on the hilltop and for the rest of their lives. Now, let me be clear. I like to win. You say, he's not talking about winning. Let me be really, really clear. I like to win. Not only do I like to win, you guys, I expect to win. I want you to know that I will do everything in my power to provide our student athletes, our coaches, our teams, all the resources and support they need to compete at the highest level. And I should step back and say, while I like to compete, again, let's be clear, competing is winning. And after having talked to several people in this room, including our president, our board members, some of the coaches, I believe we all have that same drive. The next chapter of this university's history, in my humble opinion, is a vitally important one. One that will overwhelmingly be defined by change. We must work together to anticipate these changes so as to act quickly and decisively and in the best interest of this institution today and for years to come. In many ways, SMU is defined by its core values, its rich history, proud traditions, visionary leadership, and inspiring community. I have great respect for and appreciation of these guiding principles. However, in this changing environment, we must look to a future where the values and traditions will always be honored. Yet we must point ourselves in a bold, upward direction that we must take this program. And I promise you, we will get there. We will get there together. I'm going to end on these last few remarks. I've always believed that the key to success and/or change is to focus all of your energy and efforts not on fighting the old, but upon embracing genuinely and building upon the new. I look forward to working with all of you, working together to accomplish something so special. My wife and I were talking. We are Dallas, and Dallas is us. Go Mustangs and pony up. Thank you. So one thing I'm good at is following directions. I think I'm supposed to turn it over to my man Brad over in the corner for questions.
Take questions from the audience. We would just ask that you, from the media, we would just ask that you identify yourself and the outlet that you represent. We will start with Skylar Dixon from the Associated Press.
I'll say it again. Skylar Dixon with the AP. Welcome to Dallas, Damon. David alluded to the momentum of the athletic department, and it's the most momentum it's had in many years. I wondered how you kind of looked at joining that, building on the momentum, but also bringing sort of your own style and your own voice to a new situation.
Well, first and foremost, Skylar, it's a pleasure to meet you. I'm sure we'll get well connected. I will say this. That's one of the things that attracted me to this institution the most. And I may be a little bit repetitive, but the powers that be here went big game hunting. And what I mean by that, some might say audacity, to go out and say we need to find a power conference and do everything that we can to get in that conference. And I saw that. The ability to go out and land a gentleman of the caliber of President-elect Jay Hartzell, to see what the football program did in its first year in the ACC and going to the CFP under Coach Rhett Lashley. My man Andy Enfield, who Andy and I go back a little bit, I won't tell you, but Andy knows how I feel about him. And to know that they said, we're going to pull him from USC. I saw something special because these people wouldn't leave and come. The support that the football team and all the other programs have and the board of trustees and that leadership, I just saw something. So what do I bring to the table? You know, I think I bring a lot of experience having been in the Big Ten and the SEC and now the ACC, having worked at two Power Four conferences. I want to take that knowledge and impart that here, but believe me when I say this, I don't have all the answers, and I know that working with individuals here, we will find them.
Billy Embody on theponyexpress.com. When you look at the funding that is needed for all of this house settlement and NIL and all of those things, what are some of the staples that you like to lean on in terms of engaging the donor base and fighting for that Dallas marketplace, and what excites you about the opportunities that you now have to do all of that here?
Well, in this new era of intercollegiate athletics, it's going to be even more important that we find new sources of revenue, new ways to drive revenue, and to be strategic in our approach. Fundraising is one part of that, so I want everyone to know this. I am going to be out. I'm going to try to hit everybody in this room because I believe we got to get out, share our narrative, talk about why this institution's so great, and we've got to grow our brand to a national level. I want everybody talking about this particular institution. So yeah, I'll be out there, and we have to control the narrative. What's happened in the world of intercollegiate athletics, everyone, we've lost control of the narrative. I want people to fully understand what we are about. And we got to engage them, and we got to put the right messaging out there, but make no mistake about it. In order to compete at this level, it's going to take resources. That starts with me. I have to be strategic, and I have to look at new and creative ways to do that and not just always lean on the donors. That doesn't mean that I won't, but I just want to make sure that we're out pounding the pavement and growing our base.
Dean Rolski, the Daily Campus. As you mentioned, you have experience in the Big Ten, the SEC, and now the ACC. How do you think your experience in all of these conferences will help position SMU for the next reshuffling of conference realignment?
Very, very good question. It's interesting, when I was sitting down talking to the search committee as well as President-elect Hartzell, one of the things, if you notice in my speech, we got to focus on today, but we got to be looking and seeing what's coming on down the road. We can't get caught off guard and be unsurprised. So what I think the experiences in the SEC and the Big Ten and now the ACC has allowed me is this, to develop relationships with a lot of different people, the movers and the shakers who may be the ones that impact the next cycle of realignment. And what do I mean by that, you guys? Don't forget, TV execs control a lot of what goes on in college athletics, whether it's conference distributions, realignment, when we play. We need to make sure that we're tied into individuals like that. In addition, the commissioners of the Power Four. Now, I know them all. I've worked with three of them, Sankey, obviously, Tony Petiti, and Jim Phillips and I are really close because we were working together at Northwestern. So, and I know Brett Yormark, knowing those power players, I think having had the opportunity to sit in that room, have the understanding of what SEC ADs think, Big Ten ADs, and now ACC ADs, and I'm going to bring all that knowledge that I got from those groups here.
Kevin Lonnquist with ontheponyexpress.com. You obviously talked about the importance of hitting Dallas and making relationships there, but from a national perspective, what's going to be things that you value to help SMU's national name continue to expand so that whenever this change comes, maybe 2030, however you look at that, where SMU could be in that position?
Yeah, it's a very good question, and as we look to the future, you guys, one of the things many of you may know and some may not, that there are entities out there such as private equity that are trying to get involved and trying to form super leagues and things of that nature. What we have to do is, one, you're going to have to win. We have to continue to win, and we have to win at a high level. Two, we're going to have to make sure that our viewership meets the standards of what's going on around the country, because that's what drives people to want to bring you in to a conference. Three, a lot of the institutions, just like if you think about the Dallas Cowboys here, they'll always say they're the highest value team in the NFL. Well, a lot of people have been doing valuations of college athletics departments, and there are different formulas to do that. But whatever those formulas are, we need to make sure that our value is high enough that they want to put us in. Part of that value is going to be things such as, what's your operating budget? How much money do you fundraise? What's your television market look like? That's why Dallas is so important. We're in a top 4 media market. We've got to leverage this media market in so many different ways, but one of the most important ways is to position ourselves so when that day comes, in the future of intercollegiate athletics, I don't want to be, let's just sneak inside the top 50. I want to be well inside that top group that it's a no-brainer.
I'd like to thank everyone for coming today. At this time, Damon will be available for one-on-ones if the media have additional questions in the back corner. But again, thank you everyone for coming today. Go Mustangs.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.